Welcome to the Activated Storytellers 86th podcast, December 2008.
This episode features The Elves and the Envious Neighbor, a story from Japan.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly, and together we are
the Activated Storytellers.
This week we are coming to you from Tallahassee, Florida. We'll be telling you all about our travels since our last podcast, which was in the end of August. We have been to Salem, Massachusetts, and all the way down to Florida. We'll be catching you up in just a minute. But first of all, we want to announce that this podcast is part of the Blueberry Network. That's BLUBRRY.com, no E, Blueberry. We chose this episode's story because, well, Christmas is coming up, and you know that means elves and Santa and all that good stuff. So that'll be coming up in just a minute. But first of all, catching you up on what we've been up to.
Well, we had a very interesting month of October. We spent the month of October in Salem, Massachusetts, which is the place to be for Halloween. But we weren't just there as tourists. We were working as performers and as consultants, actually, for a haunted attraction. And there are several haunted attractions in Salem.
We were working at a 3D haunt, and our job was to scare the living daylights out of people. We had a lot of fun doing that. It was very interesting being able to work in a theatrical experience for an entire month at one location, and something a little different than what we're doing all the time, bringing our shows around for children. Now, the haunt, of course, we were scaring people, but we also had a tour, which was a safe tour, and if the kids come through with a wand, a glow stick, they were scaring the monsters pretty good, and so we weren't able to scare them then.
Yes, we toned it down a bit for the kids who had those, and they weren't always little kids either. Had some older people doing that as well.
Right. We had a chance to, of course, to work on that with Zephyr. That is our son's favorite love is doing haunted attractions and putting together haunted houses.
Yeah, so we not only worked as performers for the entire month, performing pretty much every day, but we also redesigned the place to a certain extent as much as we could. We re-recorded and edited the audio track they played, rewrote the script, redid some costumes, and retrained the actors.
Things got off to a little bumpy start there when we first came in, and it wasn't really a scary haunt. So by the time we were done, it was a rockin' place.
Yes, we heard many people say it was the scariest place in Salem.
I think we will be back there next year. We had so much fun. That's going to be Salem's 13 Ghosts. So if you're in the area or plan on being in the area, please stop by. And, well, I can't say that you'll make it out again.
Zephyr did a couple of his character impersonations. He debuted Heath Ledger's impersonation of the Joker this year. And, of course, he was really right on target with that. And also he brought back Jack Sparrow.
Right, and speaking of Zephyr, he is no longer traveling with us. At the end of October, he moved out, and he is now living in Massachusetts.
He's living in the Boston area, and Zephyr did turn 18 in September, so he is an adult now. He's planning to come here and join us in Florida in January, and of course do Disney as always, and maybe we can get him on another podcast then.
Yeah, he's going to be down here with his friends. Maybe he and his friends will be willing to have the time to jump in here and do a podcast with us. He is currently writing his 4th book and looking for a job.
And rehearsing with his rock band, rehearsing and recording with his rock band.
So that's the update on Zephyr. And after we left Massachusetts, we then toured with the show through Connecticut,
Massachusetts, Virginia, West Virginia, and New York.
And New York, right. We were out on Long Island in the RV. Oh, how to drive the RV through New York City. Not fun.
Yeah, always an interesting challenge.
I took it at night because I did not want to drive the RV through town in rush hour traffic. It's bad enough navigating those roads and bridges and taxi cabs during the night when there's not so much traffic. And speaking of New York City, it reminds me of another family on the road. Recently had an experience driving their RV, huge RV, through New York City. And the reason they had to do it is they were on the Today Show. They are the Loud family of Six for the Road. Their show is, they were on the Today Show because they have a miniseries that has been on TLC and Discovery Health Network recently. So if you had a chance to catch them, those are good friends of ours. They were also up in Salem, Massachusetts with us, hanging out and having fun.
Yes, in fact, they joined us in Salem the day after they appeared on the Today Show. So we made our way down, all the way down the coast to Florida. We generally spend the winter in Florida. I don't know why. It's just something that we started doing.
Maybe because we don't like being in all the snow and ice and we like the warmer weather.
Well, I don't know. I like the snow and ice, but I like Florida too. And I don't like Florida in the summer, so winter's the perfect time for me to be here.
I don't like it during hurricane season.
Right. That's some time I don't want to be here as well. But anyway, we are in Tallahassee, Florida for pretty much the entire month of December. Actually, we got here before Thanksgiving. We are here when we have a little time off because December always slows down for our business.
We don't do a holiday show, and that's pretty much what everybody wants at this time of year. So we take a little breather.
So during that time, we decided we would try a real adventure. We are selling Christmas trees.
Yep, we are babysitting Christmas trees. We've got about 100 or so sold. I think sales are down this year, but it's interesting doing something different, something that's not theater related, hauling trees around and sawing them. Yes, I saw them.
The great thing about it is for more than a month, we have the opportunity to stay parked in one place without it costing us anything. Don't have to buy gas for a whole month. That's great. And
we have electricity 24/7. That's very unusual for us.
Yes, we are right next to a mall that has a Barnes & Noble, which we always love.
And we're parked right in between two YMCAs that we get to bike to.
Yes, so it's a nice little arrangement for us. And in the meantime, we're beginning to work on getting our show ready for next summer.
Right, and of course we have time to work on our own business and doing the business end of show business.
Right, because since our RV is parked right next to the lot, we spend most of the time in the RV. And when somebody comes looking for trees, then we go out and help them. And by the way, we had some visitors here at the Christmas tree lot.
Shout out to the Browski family. They came by and they had a great time just visiting with them. They were on their way to California when they swung by.
They're from California, just as we were once upon a time, and supposedly still are.
And we'll be telling you the story in just a minute. But first of all, we want to point out a way that you can save energy and take some steps to help the environment and go solar.
Hi, I'm Brian Overland from a solar energy company called Sunrun. Did you know that if every American home replaced just one light bulb with an Energy Star qualified bulb, we would save enough energy to light more than 3 million homes for a year? With this small change, we can save more than $600 million in annual energy costs. For more information on Energy Star, visit www.energystar.gov. And if you're interested in more ways to save energy by using solar electricity, visit www.sunrunhome.com.
This episode's story is The Elves and the Envious Neighbor, a Japanese folktale. Once upon a time, a man was traveling to his village from a long day at the local market. He was late, and unfortunately found himself in the middle of the forest when the sun set.
Hey, this is a spooky forest. There might be some salesmen lurking in the shadows. Oh, it's too dark to try to head on home tonight. Maybe I better spend the night in that hollow tree.
But he didn't exactly sleep like a log. In fact, he tossed and turned half the night. Well, he tossed and turned as much as a person could inside a hollow tree. And all through the night he was disturbed by the sounds of wild and ferocious beasts in the forest.
Hey, why don't you watch where you're going? Boy, I wish I'd remembered to bring earplugs. Hey, I think I hear voices. That can't be. There are surely no people living in such a deep, dark forest. It must be a mirage.
And then the sounds got louder and louder. And he was hearing singing and dancing. Actually, he was hearing singing. He couldn't hear the dancing because the dancing was being done by very teeny tiny feet. And those teeny tiny feet belonged to...
Elves?
Yes, elves. A huge swarm of teeny little men, women, and children having a celebration of some sort.
Ding dong, the witch is dead, witch oh witch, the witch oh witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead.
For a long time the man just watched, but as he grew more amused by watching the elves, he became bolder and bolder until finally he decided...
I'm going out there and introduce myself. All of that food is making me hungry. And besides, they're just having too much fun to miss. Yoo-hoo. Konbanwa. Good evening, my friends.
Who's there? What? It's a human.
Human? You mean they're not just a myth?
Oh, no, they're real. And believe me, they act like it sometimes.
Better let me handle this. Greetings, human. I'm the king of elves. I'm called King Elvis. Welcome to the festival. You may join us if you mind your manners.
Oh, arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much. I promise to be on my best behavior.
Excellent, excellent. Well then, just leave your shoes outside the grove and come on in and join us.
So the man celebrated with them all night long. They had much food to eat, many songs to sing, many dances to dance, and many jokes to tell.
So, how many Zen monks does it take to change a lantern?
I don't know. We'll buy.
I don't know. How many?
The bird flies gently over the river.
That's rich.
Oh, yeah.
At the break of dawn, the party ended, and the elves said goodbye to their human guest.
Mata ne, oh human. See you later. We have enjoyed your visit. We shall never forget the songs you taught us, the stories you told, the jokes you told, and especially the pull my finger gag. You're welcome to return anytime, anytime.
Hoping to have him return, and being elves and so by nature tricksters, they took what they thought to be something precious to the man in order to secure his return. What they took, however, was a big red win, a birthmark on his head. The man couldn't believe his luck at being so transformed. When he arrived in his village, his changed appearance caused quite a deal of interest, and soon a large circle of people gathered around his front door to hear his remarkable tale. His neighbor, who was always very envious and competitive, was highly annoyed when he heard the man's story.
So, then the king and I shook hands and said goodbye, and the whole gathering of elves just vanished in a big puff of smoke. Oh, yeah? Well, I painted my outhouse.
And later that night, the neighbors sneaked out to the woods, or snuck out, as many would say. Now, why would he do such a thing? Well, you see, he also had a red win on his head, and he thought that if he celebrated with the elves, that they would take his win too.
Ah, there's the hollow tree. I'll just hide in here and see if the elves return.
And sure enough, in the wee hours of the morning, the wee little folk came out to play.
There they are. All right, I'll join the party. Hey, maybe I can even get some fairy gold out of this deal. Hello there.
Ah, it's our human friend. Come back to revel with us again tonight.
No, actually, yeah, that's right. It is me. Just got my hair styled a little differently and gained a few pounds since last night, but it's me, and I'm ready to party.
So the neighbor pretended to be his neighbor. He celebrated with them all night long, and then at daybreak...
Arigato. Thank you. Thank you very much, oh human, for coming back and seeing us again so soon. To honor you, we will now give you something of great value.
Now we're talking.
It is something that some of our pranksters borrowed from you last night, thinking it would cause you to return, and it worked.
Something you borrowed from me?
Yes. Ta-da! It's the red gem you wore on your forehead.
Gem? Oh, no, that's... Hey, what did you do?
We have returned your property, of course. Why, it wouldn't be right for us to keep it.
But it's a win, and I already had another one.
Ah, yes, it's a win-win situation. Well, you must excuse us. We must be off to fairyland, and we cannot return for another 400 years.
Sayonara!
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 Alley-oop.
And the elves all vanished in a puff of smoke. And the envious neighbor got more than he bargained for, namely 2 birthmarks instead of 1. So, if you're ever out in the woods or at the North Pole and you run into a bunch of elves, remember, they throw a great party and they're excellent toy makers. Well, they even bake good cookies. But they are terrible dermatologists.
And that's the story of the Elves and the Envious Neighbor from Japan.
And speaking of elves, of course, Santa's coming soon.
Is that right? Is it that time of year already?
Yes, it is. Santa is coming. You can track him on NORAD on the big night, and you can see where his sleigh is, and make sure that you're in bed in time so that he can come down your chimney.
That's right. We used to do that when Zephyr was little. We used to track Santa.
I still track Santa. I don't know about you.
Yes, okay. Well, I just trust you to do the tracking for me.
And Santa also, last year, I wrote to Santa. I sent him an email, and he And so I have posted it there if you want to read what Santa wrote. Because I had kids contacting me. They were concerned about whether or not Santa can visit them if they live in an RV. And so Santa contacted me. He said he was writing from the ultimate RV, his sleigh. I thought it was great. So anyway, I posted that on familiesontheroad.com. If you want to read what Santa has written to all the kids who live in RVs, yes, visit the site, and it will be up through December.
Hey, do you like to rent movies? We sure do. That's one of our favorite things to do for entertainment. We have a DVD player in the RV, and we go to Blockbuster and rent movies every now and then. And so we'd like to tell you about a special deal that Blockbuster has for our listeners. Blockbuster has a program called Total Access that allows you to rent movies online with over 80,000 titles to choose from. And you have a choice about how you return them, by mail or in person. And it normally costs $19.99 a month, but you can get your first month for only $9.99. Now, we have a link for that on our website and in our show notes. So check it out if you like to rent movies to watch. Okay, and so after Christmas, we're going to be performing again in Miami Lakes, Florida.
Yes, at the Miami Lakes Library on January 17th. That show is at 3 o'clock. And after that, we've got shows coming up in Mississippi that are open to the public. We have other shows at schools that aren't open to the public. We're just talking about the ones that are open to the public. We'll be performing in Laurel, Mississippi in February. And then we're on to New Mexico for some public shows in Rio Rancho and Farmington, New Mexico in March. And then a whole bunch of shows in California in April. So check our website, activated-storytellers.com. And if you go to /schedule, you'll see our itinerary. And, well, of course, we'll have a link to the website that lets you track Santa. And we will be trying to podcast now once a month around the 15th-ish or so. And thanks to everybody who contacted us while we were down. We're back.
We'll see you next time.
And in the meantime, we wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and for those in Hawaii, Mele Kalikimaka. Sayonara.
Matane.
The Activated Storytellers perform at